folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, we want to talk again about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine because I know we're getting tired of it, but hey, it's war, folks, and it's going to be there for a while, I believe. Although, according to the news media, it sounds like they're about ready to wrap this thing up and be done. And while that is a possibility, there are other things that could be going on. And I think we should be aware of that because much like what happened over the last 2 years with the whole health crisis, as it, got out of control and it seemed like it was just a horrible, horrible epidemic. And then all of a sudden it would kind of fizzle out and everyone would relax and think that it was over, only to be brought up again and come back with another wave. And that's very possible what we're going to see happen here. So we want to talk about that and really about getting ready. Right now the markets even are responding to this. The stock market's gone way up. Oil actually came down just below $100 a barrel, although it has gone back up since then. And gold and silver are going down. Now, I don't think that either one of these have hit the bottom yet, but they've certainly gone down. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, because having some gold and silver on hand is a good idea. And you don't have a good local supplier. That's the key thing. If you can find someone locally, a good reputable source to buy gold and silver from, certainly do that. But not everyone has that option available. And I have found a company that I've been buying from when I can't get from my local guy, and I've really liked them. They're called moneymetals.com. There's a link down in the description below. And their packaging's great. It's a good service. Everything it's insured. Even they sent along a 1/1000th of an ounce piece of gold with my last order of silver. So check those out, that website out, if that's something that you're in the market for, because right now could be a pretty good time to buy. When you buy through them, what you're paying for is based on the spot value, the current spot value of silver. And so you can lock that in and purchase it when it drops down, kind of like it is right now. So anyways, if you've been following this at all, in the last 24 to 48 hours, there seems to be a shift, a change. And that's part of why we're seeing, the markets and stuff react in the way that they are. And officially in the news, we're hearing from Ukraine and Russia that they've come to at least some agreeable situation. The official story is that Russia is backing away from the capital city of Kiev. It appears, and there's a lot of talk about this, that they're just wanting to basically have that very far eastern parts of Ukraine, and the rest of it, they're not so sure. At least that's what it looks like on the surface. And so I think a lot of people are thinking, man, this is a good deal. And of course we should want a war to end. I mean, I don't think that any of us really want this to continue, because regardless of where you might stand on this, there are innocent lives involved, and there are innocent people that are dying and losing a lot. So, and we certainly don't want that. But we also want to make sure that we're not caught up in some other kind of, basically a psyop, which there's been a lot of that going on with this. It's interesting because just a couple of days ago, the spokesperson for Putin made kind of a threatening statement, and all of it was in regards to the gaffes, according to the media, that the president had said over the last week. And he said, basically, don't push us into a corner. Don't push Russia into a corner. And I can agree with that, at least believe that would be true. It's really hard to believe that Russia planned all this and staged all this for over a year now, that there's been this buildup. And then all of a sudden, they go in and 30 days later, they decide that it's done, it's over. And they've not really accomplished anything. Now, of course, the official narrative is that Russia's just gotten their hind ends handed to them. And that's very possibly true. I'm not saying that it doesn't. It's not happening. But I will say that the numbers and the stories coming out of the mainstream media tend to become hard to believe. If Russia is in fact not handling this too well, it would most generally be because they're not putting in quite the effort that they're capable of. There's been countless reports of most of the equipment that's being used in Ukraine is old equipment. I've seen countless videos and pictures showing that the Russians are using T-72 tanks, which is tanks that were built back in the late 60s into the 70s. They have much newer tanks than that, and then they have a lot of them. They have more tanks than just about anybody. And they have some very advanced tanks. In fact, the ones that they've come out with within the last decade is definitely capable of being a rival to some of the top tanks that we have, the Abrams tanks. So they have some good equipment. They have great planes. Their technology in some areas may not be quite as good as the United States, but it's most definitely better than what Ukraine had, which most of Ukrainian equipment was old ex-Soviet equipment. So it makes no sense that Russia would do this and not put in the real effort and then, tuck tail and run. It's possible. That's always possible. I don't believe that the sanctions are doing too much. The Russian ruble, while it lost a lot of its value early on in this, it's now regained almost all of that back to where it was before the invasion of Ukraine. So it looks like on paper for Russia that they're doing fairly well. They're handling the sanctions. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it looks like that they're handling the sanctions quite well. So what is really going on? Is this just a game? I mean, there's been questions of where does Zelensky's alliances really lie? And I can't answer all that. In fact, I don't tend to even analyze a lot of what's going on. I want to look at it just through the eyes of how can you and I get prepared? Because in the end, that's really our main purpose here on this channel. So in doing so, let's look at what the State Department, they've said today that they do not believe that Russian troops are retreating or removing themselves from and around Kiev, that it looks to be that they are actually being repositioned and could be repositioned to front another engagement there in Kiev. I thought it was interesting. This was in the news that the Kremlin said that, no, we have decided that we're not going to use a nuclear weapon. That just seems strange to me. Whether or not they're going to, why would they make this statement? Why would they say, oh, no, we've decided not to? Why would they tip their hand in that way? If everyone's afraid that they are, and it could be in their favor, then don't say anything. And if they never had intended to ever, if that was never ever on the table, then all along they should have been saying that instead of the other thing, which is what they've been saying is that it is on the table. And then now all of a sudden they've said, oh, no, it's not on the table. That seems a little suspicious to me. But then again, I question a lot of things, well, pretty much everything. Could it be that Putin has just lost his authority? I mean, are the people inside the Kremlin turning against Putin? That's all a possibility. It really is. My gut tells me that that's not what's going on. My gut tells me that this is all a ruse. This is all a show. We've said before on this channel that everything that's been going on in Russia and Ukraine looks like, and the world's reaction to it, looks like right out of the coronavirus COVID playbook. I mean, it's like the names have changed, the names and the places have changed, but the story's the same. And if that's the case, then we should expect to see something like this, and then all of a sudden it kick back up. Again, I don't want to be a doubting Thomas necessarily. If we are bringing this to an end and Russia is just going to admit defeat and things will start to go back the way they once were, well, that's good, I guess. But I don't think that they ever will. Just in the same way as the health crisis has pretty much ended, and yet things still haven't gone back the way they were. In no way will this go back the way it was before, and there's going to be lasting effects. So how does all of this that I've said for the last 10 minutes translate into affecting us? Well, My opinion, and that's just it, it's only my opinion, is that, like I've said before, we're seeing a little lull in this war. And it's quite common in wars for one force to look like that they're kind of backing away and look like they're retreating or look like they're calming things down to get the other side to kind of, back off of its guard, kind of back down a little bit so that they can reposition themselves and attack again. I think that that's probably what we're seeing here. Of course, in the end, I still think that this is all part of the Great Reset plan. So, folks, if that's what's happening, if we're seeing the stocks go up, we're seeing gold and silver go down, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking advantage of that in the moment. I am certainly no financial advisor, but if you can make some quick money, hey, do so. If things are kind of slowing down on that front and people aren't panicking and running to the stores, even though the president said what he did over the last week about there coming, very real food shortages, take advantage of that. We might see a little drop in some commodity prices. We could see, food prices, wheat, things like that drop for a short while. And so take advantage of that and stock up if you're able to. But I would not certainly drop your guard. I don't think we're anywhere near that point of dropping your guard, because this is all just being talked about right now. And as we know, based on even all the way up into the invasion of Ukraine, Russia said one thing and they were doing another. So there's no reason to believe that right now they're not doing that. I mean, they're potentially saying one thing while they're planning to do another. So I would advise for you folks to not let your guard down. Take a breath. Again, you shouldn't be really even that worked up over this to the point that you're losing sleep or it's stressing you out that much. That's why we prepare. That's why we prepare mentally, physically, and most especially spiritually. Because when these kind of things happen, and they certainly will, and they will continue to happen and build as this all plays out, we can't allow ourselves to fall apart when they do. But then on the other hand, we also can't allow ourselves to kind of, relax and just kind of give up for a while because we think it's almost over. It doesn't look like that to me. I think Russia is planning something. Could be wrong. It's just my thoughts, and I don't claim to be any kind of expertise to this. It just doesn't make sense. And Putin, in the way that he is, and the way that we've seen how he behaves over the years, and what we know about Russia, for them to do what they've done over the last month and to just say, okay, we're going to give up. And we're going to give in to all these demands. So be watching, folks. And it's quite possible that if this starts back up, and that when it does, it could be way, way worse than it was before. And then that would be an actual very good strategic move for Russia, is to catch Ukraine off guard and then just hammer them with whatever way that they're going to. So like I said, if you want to try to make a little money while things are the way they are, that might work. If you certainly want to take the opportunity to stock up on your precious metals because they've come down in price, might be a good idea. Definitely continue stocking up on food, because I don't think it's at that point to say, okay, this was all for nothing. It's time to back off and go back to normal. Things are certainly happening, and even if they come up with some kind of peace agreement that sticks, it's going to take a lot to get this machine up and running again. Just like with the whole health crisis, you can't just shut down systems like this and sanction and stop farming and production and all this, and then a few weeks later start it back up and expect everything to just go back to normal. It's going to take a while. So either way, from our perspective, we need to continue our readiness, because things could change in a moment's notice with stuff like this. All right, folks, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.